Welcome to the I Love Buffalo podcast. Part of the I Love Buffalo network with your host, Josh Patchy.
Welcome, good neighbors, to the I Love Buffalo podcast. I'm your host, Josh Patchy. If you're new to the podcast, a little bit about us. We will cover everything from Buffalo's news, business, sports, crime, art, music, politics, history, unsolved murders, corruption, jiu-jitsu, nature and the outdoors, entrepreneurship, upcoming events, and all things that champion the underdog city that we all love and the good people in it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today in the podcast, local MMA fighter Pat punches his ticket into the UFC. We remember the victims of the May 14th shooting. A Lakeview house mysteriously explodes. Take a walk with technology. Merlin Bird ID app. Shake Shack opens the first Buffalo area location, and the Walden Galleria faces potential foreclosure. All of this and more on this episode of the I Love Buffalo podcast.
Hey, we can't let it take control anymore.
That right there was a song called Awaken by Midnight Sconce. They mostly play out of the Rochester area, but they come to Buffalo once in a while. They've played at Pearl Street last year for the patio brunch festivals we used to do on Sundays with the Chalk Fest going on. And this year they're going to come back too, and they're going to be playing on the patio for sunset sessions on the Pearl Street patio every Saturday night. They're one of the bands that we booked this summer. So looking forward to having them back. Should be a really good time. It's a free show, and they're really good. Every clip we play in this episode will be from them. So check them out, Midnight Sconce, and they are from Rochester, New York, here in Western New York. In our first segment, Patchy has made it to the UFC. Finally to the biggest stage. He's already proven himself so much on all levels that he has been on, and it is amazing and awesome to see that Pat will be fighting for the UFC, and his first test is going to be a big one. I have personally trained with Pat before. I believe I was actually his first paid sponsor. He looked for sponsors locally. Maybe he had one or two, but I know I was one of the ones when he first got his winning record together locally here. And so we started talking through that. He's come to town a bunch of times. When my professor, JT Torres, is in town, he trained with us a couple years ago in the summertime there at Riverworks. He began wrestling at Angola, so he's from the Angola area. He wrestled at Lakeshore High School, and it was the first state qualifier in like 40 years or something like that. For MMA, he has a really impressive record, a professional MMA record of 20 wins and 1 loss with 13 victories by submission. And he was the final Bellator bantamweight champion and won the 2023 Bellator Bantamweight World Grand Prix tournament. When he won that, he won $1 million too. So that was a big win. That was like his breakthrough moment. Then Bellator had problems and it was all a mess. But finally, he is filling in for the UFC on short notice. And he is making his UFC debut, UFC 316 on June 7th, 2025. Not too far away, driving distance, Newark, New Jersey, stepping in for Marlon Vera to face Mario Bautista. So this should be an awesome match. It's a high-stakes matchup. Bautista is on a 7-fight winning streak, including a recent victory over former featherweight champion Jose Aldo. So this is a very big test for Pat Mix. But when you look at Pat's past, he seems to always rise to the occasion when the pressure is on. So it's hard to deny that Pat's journey has inspired a lot of people that are up and coming here in Buffalo. We recently had the K4 fighting, and a lot of the K4 fighters, everyone sees that making it to the big leagues, making it as a professional is absolutely possible from Buffalo, New York, right here. As you all know, I love growth mindset as a mentality for both coaching and for athletes or anyone trying to be excellent at anything. One of the things that is very helpful is inspiration. It requires one person without inspiration, usually, to come from an area in order to achieve greatness. If that happens, sometimes you can create hotbeds. And I went down a rabbit hole studying hotbeds around the world for a couple years. And these are things like there's a small town in Brazil where several of the best soccer players in the world came from. Or there is a town in Russia where many of the best female tennis players all came from the same town. Or how South Korea has a really high number of people in female golf that are excellent. Or there's actually a street in the UK where a bunch of ping pong, table tennis players came from the same street. And the question is why? Why do they have these hotbeds? Is it genetics? What is it? And it has to do a lot with, one, inspiration. One of them makes it from a small town. And then two is how they train. So in Brazil, the way they trained soccer, it was so hot in this town that they would play indoor soccer called futsal. And they'd use a heavier ball and tighter quarters. And you get a lot more touches when you play soccer in these tight quarters. You touch the ball more times. So in a futsal game, you might touch the ball, 50 times. And an outdoor soccer game, you might touch the ball, let's say, 15 times. The more touches you have and the harder it is to maneuver, the better practice it is for you. It's almost like a baseball player that swings 3 bats or 2 bats at once. And then when they grab the bat to go bat, it's lighter. Same kind of principle here with futsal. They train in tight quarters and they get a lot of touches and the ball's heavier. So when they go outside, it's like they're free. There's this big open area. So a lot of really good soccer players came from that one town. The same thing is true for, let's say, table tennis. There's actually a whole book written about this called Bounce, Bounce. And it's about how you can achieve greatness through practice. And in this book, a bunch of the best, most elite table tennis players came from the same area, and a lot of them lived in the same street. It went back to one of them made it amazing. One of them got to like the high echelon level of table tennis, but it also mattered how they practiced. And their main place they practiced was inside of a garage that didn't have a lot of room to back up. So what happened was they got really good at playing close to the table. And when they got so good at playing close to the table, when they backed up, it was a lot easier. So it was how they practiced that dictated excellence and then inspiration. Well, Pat Mix has that ability right now to inspire others locally, as long as the practice here is really, really good, which it is. We have excellent schools here. We understand we're connected to Pat still. Pat can explain. He comes and gives seminars and shows us how we need to be training. And we have a lot of people from this area on a similar quest and pipeline to try to be excellent. But if you look at Pat and what he did, he left here. He found like the best schools he could find outside the area, went and trained there, found great training, and kept pushing himself to these elite levels. His inspiration pushing this is going to go a long way to making that people here see it as a real possibility and believe in it and train like it. Because that's what it is. I don't know anyone who trains harder than Pat Mix in terms of MMA. The dude is always training. When he was here anyways, I just basing on what I know, what I've heard from his training partners, and hard work and finding the right kind of practice and purposeful practice is leading to greatness. And this is going to be a big test. He's going against a really high level person. Very interested to see Pat rise to the occasion yet again. Should be a great, great matchup. And everyone from Buffalo is rooting for you. Let's go. In our next segment, we want to take a moment to honor one of the most senseless acts of violence in our city's history. This week marks the 3rd anniversary of the tragic mass shooting at Top Supermarket on Jefferson Avenue. It's a reminder of how devastating it is when senseless violence is fueled by hate, division, especially when people are reduced to labels like race or the color of their skin. This week, we all remember the victims, their families, and the community that continues to heal and stand together in solidarity against acts like this. Let's just take a moment to reflect on the power of community and the need for all of us to rise above our labels and the forces that try to tear us apart. In our next segment, tragedy strikes Hamburg as a house explodes. Now, the community of Hamburg has a really good intertwined collective intelligence page, which is basically on Facebook, where it's the neighborhoods of Hamburg, and a whole bunch of people are on it. So for those of you that don't know, Hamburg is one of the biggest towns in our whole state in terms of square miles. It's a huge place that includes a bunch of little smaller sub-towns within that. And when this was happening in real time, it was unfolding on social media, and you got to see kind of the play-by-play. On the evening of Monday, May 12th, a giant explosion leveled a home on West Lane in Lakeview, which is the town of Hamburg, but it's like the area of Hamburg closest to the lake there. So kind of down Old Lakeshore Road over that way. This catastrophe resulted in the death of 78-year-old Joan Pease. Her husband, John, also 78, was miraculously rescued from the debris and remains in critical condition at ECMC. Kudos to all the firemen and emergency responders that showed up on the scene. One of them, named Garrett Heilman, along with several other firefighters, located and rescued John from the basement rubble. Their swift action was instrumental in saving his life. The explosion's force damaged 3 neighboring homes, with one being a total loss due to the subsequent fire that burned it down. Debris was scattered across the area, affecting nearby properties. National Fuel reported that there were no gas leaks or operational issues with their systems, and the exact cause of the explosion remains under investigation by local authorities. In the past several years, this is the 3rd house explosion in the region. In 2024, in Niagara Falls, a house on 20th Street exploded, destroying the residents and significantly impacting the life of the homeowner, Sarah Adams. She recounted that just before the explosion, she smelled a strong gas odor in her foyer, and as she went to warn her family, the house exploded, propelling her into the street. Although she survived the blast, it led to the loss of her home and custody of her children. Adams attributes the explosion to negligence by a National Fuel technician who had visited earlier that day. However, National Fuel stated that tests on the gas facilities showed no evidence of malfunction or leaks. In July 2021, a tragic explosion occurred on Bedford Avenue in Lackawanna, resulting in the death of a 92-year-old Irene Senok. This accident was caused by a natural gas leak, and it completely destroyed her home and damaged several neighboring houses as well. These incidents underscore the importance of gas safety and prompt reporting of gas odors to prevent such devastating events. I have several friends that either used to work for the gas company or do, and they almost all have stories of harrowing close calls like this. Natural gas is a amazing, fairly clean resource for us to use that exists everywhere around us, but at the same time, it must be respected. And this is why they add the smell to the natural gas. It's an additive so that you can smell it if it's leaking in your home. And if you smell it, open the doors and get out. Keep the windows open and get out as quick as you can and call the natural gas company. The Pease family has expressed gratitude for the outpouring of support for Joe. It's short for Joan. She is going to be remembered as a fantastic baker, a cherished member of the community, and that she was married to John for 57 years. I mean, that is long love to last. So kudos to them for making it last that long. That's awesome and very sad at the same time. A GoFundMe campaign has been established to assist with the medical and recovery expenses of John. If you want to see that, please check the links on social media.
Yes, but sometimes you've got to push through to the other side. And time will always hold what's next.
In this next segment, Shake Shack is set to open its first Buffalo area location on Wednesday, May 21st at 11 a.m. The new restaurant, known as the Boulevard Shack, will be located at 1531 Niagara Falls Boulevard in Amherst. It's going to be within the Boulevard Shopping Center there. Shake Shack has been testing 0-acre oil. So this is something you know that I talk about a lot. Is I did carnivore diet to cure my autoimmune. I'm very hesitant to use certain oils and certain ingredients. And 0-acre oil is an oil made out of sugarcane, but it doesn't have sugar in it. I'm wondering if they're going to have it at this location. I hope they do. And that's really the reason I'm bringing it up, to try to show people that there are places that are making healthier oils around us. As part of the grand opening festivities, Shake Shack will also donate $1 for every sandwich sold to Feed More Western New York, supporting local hunger relief efforts. Additionally, the first wave of guests will receive custom Shake Shack stickers. In the next segment, the Walden Galleria Mall faces foreclosure. This is what we know so far. The Walden Galleria Mall, our largest shopping mall in the whole area, is facing potential foreclosure after its owner, Pyramid Management, missed a mortgage payment due on May 1st. It was a $220 million loan taken out during the 2007-2008 expansion. The mall's appraised value has dropped by nearly 64% from 2012 to 2020, reflecting the steep decline in not just property valuation of this exact property, but of many like it, malls and strip malls. All these property values are going down. Just renting commercial space in general is going down because of the decentralization of the network, the gig network where people are working from home and able to work, plug in, play, and do things like this. Also from Amazon shopping, all of that just in general has affected the commercial real estate market a lot, especially malls. Despite these financial challenges, the mall maintains an occupancy rate above 80%, which is pretty good, suggesting that continued tenant interest, even amid this uncertainty, is pretty viable. The Galleria contributes to approximately $3 million annually in taxes to local, state, and governments, so it's important to the area for our regional economy in that sense. Pyramid Management Group is reportedly seeking a short-term forbearance agreement to address the missed payment and maybe restructure the loan. So we'll keep you guys posted on how that goes. But again, this mirrors the broader challenges faced for malls nationwide as the brick and mortar stores face competition from online shopping and changing consumer habits. I'm an advocate for changing them again, changing them back to local. Try to shop all products that are not owned by Wall Street. And that could be hard to do, but there are apps coming out for this where we can look at apps. And if it's owned by Wall Street, I will not buy it if I can help it. I'd rather buy from companies that are local, that are not controlled by these giant money management groups. They don't seem to have our best interests in mind. In our next segment, I want to share something about the outdoors with you that is super easy to do. Everyone can do it, and it makes the outdoors a little more enjoyable. And that is called the Merlin Bird ID app. So Merlin, like Merlin, is a division of Cornell University. So Cornell is located in New York. It is an Ivy League school, and they are the center for ornithology in the entire world, basically, especially the technology around it. And they have several apps. The most famous is called eBird. So when you go out birding and you look for birds, you'll make a list, and every bird you see, you can put on your list. And when you do this, you're tracking. You're part of a citizen science project where citizens all over the world are going out and making these lists. And when birds move through, you can watch them move through the entire world based on decentralized people making their own lists. And this is kind of cool. Like if you wanted to see a bird, you can go on eBird and there's a map. And let's say you wanted to see a great horned owl, for example. It's not a super common bird in our area. They're very hard to see. I saw one this morning, and you could see where I saw it on eBird and try to go see it yourself. The chances of seeing my bird is very slim because it was being harassed by crows and it flew away. And it was probably migrating. It was in a spot that owls usually don't live. Not great horned owls anyways. And so it got harassed by the crows and it kept moving spots and you could hear it being harassed wherever it went. So hopefully it found some solace away from the crows. But it would show up on eBird as a red dot and you could go there and see it. Well, the Merlin Bird ID app, you can play in real time in your hand, and it will tell you what songs you're hearing. So as you walk through the forest or take a walk anywhere, if there's birds singing, it will do a decent job of using the spectrograph of the sound waves that are made, and it will be able to ID the birds for you. Now, it's not perfect, so it might say that you heard a bird that you didn't hear, but it's pretty accurate, and it has helped me find a lot of birds. Sometimes birds have very high-pitched calls or songs, or they're faint, and oftentimes Merlin can pick it up before me. Although I will say this year, I'm not sure exactly what's going on with the app, but I have been able to find birds usually before they even show up on my screen. I'll be like, oh, that's an oriole. Or this morning that happened for a towhee. A towhee was singing and the app wasn't picking it up. And then it finally did pick it up. But either way, if you're a beginner or a novice, this is a great little tool to walk around with. Or even if you're seasoned, you can walk around with it and find birds that you didn't know were there. Especially, I think, if 10 or 20 different kinds of birds are singing at the same time, it can be hard to differentiate. And Merlin is pretty good at sorting through them and saying things like, oh, you're hearing a Canada warbler right now, and maybe you didn't recognize that, and then you know to look for that warbler if you're trying to find one. Download the Merlin Bird ID app, and it can also identify pictures of birds. So if you have a decent zoom camera and you can take pictures of birds, it can use facial recognition technology and different points on the bird to identify it. And it's really accurate if you have 3 or more decent photos of a bird. If you have one photo, it's very good. If you have 3 or more, it is excellent. And especially if you've got 3 different angles or something like that. It uses facial recognition technology to differentiate between birds. I like birding as just an excuse to be outside. I like to go outside. I like to be on quests. I'm an explorer. And seeing all the birds we have in our area is a lot of fun to me. And the Merlin Bird ID app, I love technology. And this fuses 2 things I like a lot. Interesting, systematic technology mixed with the outdoors and being on a quest to find things. So check that out. If you're going for walks already, bring your Merlin Bird ID app out, play it, listen, record, and if you find something good, shoot me a message. All right, that about does it for this week's podcast. This week, we would like to highlight a local Buffalo business that is helping veterans with PTSD. And this is just in time here for Memorial Day. I know Memorial Day is for the veterans who lost their lives, and we honor those people and thank them for their service. But for those veterans who are still here, who are suffering from PTSD, we would also like to provide them with ways to deal with PTSD. I'm a big proponent of jiu-jitsu being one of those. I personally know people who jiu-jitsu helped them out of some dark holes. I've also seen psychedelics work. This is just something I've seen work with my own eyes for 2 different people now. They use psychedelics to help them get over PTSD. And scuba diving is apparently really, really good also for PTSD. So Phoenix Scuba of Buffalo has been around for over 30 years, and they like to share our area, which has amazing scuba diving right here on the Great Lakes. People don't realize this, but like the Niagara River on a clear, sunny day, when it's calm, if you get out there in the morning, you can see the bottom crystal clear in like 15, 20 feet of water. It's almost like the Bahamas. There's places in the Niagara River that I call Sea World, because you can see sometimes muskies and sturgeon and bass and walleye and everything swimming around right from your boat, right on top. Scuba diving and getting underwater is therapeutic for those people with PTSD. So Phoenix Scuba of Buffalo, New York, check them out. They don't just teach scuba, they create divers at their own pace. So they love to help people like be introduced, families, and like I said, many people that have PTSD are using it as a way to cope with that. You're not required to buy equipment. You just learn to dive, and they provide the equipment and sales and repairs and service and all that stuff. So if you want to check them out, you can visit phoenixscubaofbuffalo.com. Their phone number is 716-939-3889 or mail at phoenixscuba.com. For the events upcoming this week in Buffalo, New York, for all you haters out there who like to say there's nothing going on in Buffalo, we tell you to buzz off because there's a lot going on in Buffalo. First up, of course, is for all the marbles. The Buffalo Bandits just recently lost to the Rush. That was last night. Despite a valiant effort, the Bandits were outpaced in ground balls and turnovers, and they lost by 1 point. And now we're going to game 3. This is a deciding game. The ultimate showdown in all of lacrosse, a final game for all the marbles. Mark it on your calendar, Saturday, May 24th at 4:30 p.m., so it's an earlier start than normal, at KeyBank Center. Be there. Let's support this team. Let's get all behind it. We should do a parade or a march or something right down to the arena and celebrate this opportunity for the Buffalo Bandits to three-peat. So if they win this game, they are three-peat champions, cementing themselves as an absolute dynasty in lacrosse. Here are some more events this week going on in Buffalo if you're looking for stuff to do. On the 21st of May, Electric City has Lettuce. They're a band, not a food. And they're a great little band, actually. They are traveling around, kind of a jam band with a lot of brass. Pearl Street has the Mystery and Magic Show on the 21st at 7:30. So if you like magic and mystery, it's a cool little interactive thing they have going on the second floor there. Soleil Sandbar at Woodlawn Beach on the 22nd at 5:30 is the kickoff summer party featuring the Boys of Summer. And then on the 26th there, DJ Jigster will be playing music all afternoon to celebrate Memorial Day. Also on the 22nd, North Park Community School at 5:30 to 6:30 will have Music on the Lawn featuring Vitamin D Band. The Kaz on the 22nd at 7:30 is featuring Sideways with special guests Pat Tato and the Baked Potatoes and Roy G. Biv, one of my favorite local bands. On the 24th at 8 o'clock, Maddie Walsh and the Blind Spots with special guest Savo Highway. Some more awesome bands right there. On the 25th at 7:30 is Kennedy and Friends, A Night of Soul. Kleinhans Music Hall on the 23rd at 10:30 a.m. and on the 24th at 7:30 p.m. have the BPO presents Patriotic Pops, an annual Memorial Day weekend tradition that pays tributes to the contributions and sacrifices of America's heroes. On Saturday the 24th is the Williamsville Farmers Market opening day. That starts at 8 a.m. I know people are pumped for that. At Buffalo Riverworks on the 24th and 25th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. is the Totally Buffalo Festival with over 100 vendors. You know, you can walk around and buy things. It's really cool. I think there's some live music happening that day as well. The World Para Ice Hockey Championships is happening this weekend at Harbor Center from the 24th through the 31st. That's on the indoor rinks at Harbor Center. And in honor of Memorial Day, many local towns have parades in honor of our military and those lives that have lost. On Sunday, the 25th, Marilla and Lockport both have parades. On the 26th, there are parades in Clarence, Dunkirk, Kenmore, Tonawanda, Orchard Park, and West Seneca. All right, that about does it for this podcast. A few things that we always like to say at the end of every podcast. A rising tide raises all ships. Get your kids into jiu-jitsu. And let's go build something awesome this week. That's a saying that they use at the Buffalo Open Coffee Club. And that is every Tuesday, which is tomorrow morning, at 7:30 a.m. in the Seneca One Tower, which is open to everyone, anyone who is interested in business and meeting new like-minded people. Come say hello. I'm usually there. Lots of really interesting, awesome people. That is where the building is happening in Buffalo. Come check it out and come say hello. This week, in Coach Josh's Corner, I'm going to leave you with a clip about self-discipline and discipline in general.
The distance between your dreams and your reality right now is discipline. Discipline is doing the things you hate to do, but do it like you love it.